Many players were bought in the past transfer season, and most of them for ridiculous amounts of money. As you'd probably expect, not every single one of those transfers was gonna be amazing, and the 10 players that I'm about to show you have been depressing to say the least. Today, we'll be going through the 10 most disappointing transfers who are already flopping and letting their clubs down. And make sure you stay until the end, because there will be some controversial takes that I can't wait to hear your opinion about. So without further ado, let's get right to it. Number 10, Andre Onana. It's safe to say that Onana's first months as Man United #1 keeper look like scenes from a comedy movie. Or a scary one, depending on who you support. The fact of the matter is that United replaced a declining David De Gea for someone that they thought could play better with his feet, and to be fair, they did get that. Just not someone who saves more goals than De Gea. In the first 9 matches of the season, Onana has already suffered 15 goals, one more than De Gea did last year in the same number of matches. And although you can blame all the goals on him, it's clear that he hasn't been the rock-solid wall Erik ten Hag hoped he would be when he signed the Cameroonian goalkeeper. Number 9, Sandro Tonali. This one is gonna ruffle some feathers, but Sandro Tonali hasn't delivered nearly enough to justify his €64 million price tag. He had a promising start, scoring a goal in his Premier League debut, but 2 months have passed and the Italian midfielder appears to have ghosted from the field. I understand that he's in a completely new environment, in a new country, with different weather and in a much more physically demanding league. However, from what he had shown in Milan, it's surprising that he was so rapidly surpassed by Sean Longstaff in the pecking order. But at this point, it's fully deserved, since the Englishman has been better overall and much more influential when it comes to both Newcastle's creativity and defensive stability. Though I still believe he can turn things around, these last months of the year will be crucial for his Premier League career. Number 8, Renato Sanches. The Renato you see today is unfortunately a far cry from what he was in his Benfica days and a shadow of what he could have become. Nonetheless, he's still a coveted name when the transfer window opens, perhaps due to some inspired performances that he puts out every couple of months, or maybe, just maybe, it's because he has the best agent in the world. Either way, Mourinho is becoming more and more impatient with the Portuguese midfielder since Renato is always injured. He seems to be unable to play 90 minutes of football, and considering the fact that he joined Roma to be the main midfield figure, this start to life in Serie A has been a massive disappointment. His fitness problems are a puzzling situation, and to be honest, I don't have any hope that he can turn things around. Number 7, Goncalo Ramos. It hurts me as a Portuguese to see my compatriots flopping in Europe, especially Goncalo Ramos, the man who's supposed to be the #1 Portuguese striker for the next 10 years. In this case, I firmly believe that he can improve until the end of the season, but his slow start could hinder his chances of reaching the starting 11. Gonçalo started in PSG's first 2 matches of the season and failed to register a single goal contribution. The club drew both matches and he was benched after. And when he returned to the starting 11, he failed to score again, and PSG were beaten by Nice. Your team failing to win in every match you start, and then winning convincingly every time you're bench, certainly doesn't look good, but he has since scored 2 goals as a substitute against Marseille, so let's hope he can keep that form for longer than just a single match. Number 6, Felix Nmecha. It was pretty obvious that Dortmund weren't going to have a stellar start after losing a world-class player like Jude Bellingham. Many people question this signing for reasons outside of football, and his performances are doing little to shut his critics down. Nmecha is a player with a quality pedigree, being a Man City graduate and having played in Wolfsburg, a club that has launched many players into stardom, but his performances have been of anything but a star. The German international hasn't had a single good game since he debuted, despite facing relatively weaker Bundesliga sides, and he was one of the worst on the field in Dortmund's loss against PSG. Filling Bellingham's shoes was never going to be easy, but no one expected him to deliver so little. Number 5, Jota. This one was already a weird transfer at first sight. Jota is only 24, so going to Saudi Arabia at this point of his career will most definitely hinder his potential. Still, I saw it as a good signing for Al Ittihad, as Jota was one of the most important players for Celtic. But as it turns out, his performances didn't impress Nuno Espírito Santo, and since his name doesn't carry the same weight as the other stars, he wasn't even included in the group of 8 foreign players that Al Ittihad could use in the league. In this case, it's much more than a flop. We're talking about a 24-year-old who, unlike the other players in his list, basically ruined his career already. I mean, even if it's due to unfair circumstances, nobody's going to look at him the same way after he was deemed not good enough for Al Ittihad. Number 4, Renan Lodi. The young Brazilian is one of those players who have been called a promising star since the start of his career, but has continuously failed to fully turn into a world-class player. Despite impressing and helping save Nottingham Forest from relegation, Lodi was let go by Atletico and found a new home in Marseille. However, he has had a slow start to life in France, being one of the worst players in the squad who has already missed Champions League qualification. Things went from bad to worst after his embarrassing display against PSG, where he was constantly outrun by Hakimi. Renan Lodi will have to bring much more to the table because I can't imagine the new Marseille coach Gennaro Gattuso being too patient with a young fullback. Number 3. Mason Mount. The second United player in this list, which is kind of expected considering the club's current situation. And his inclusion in particular doesn't surprise me one bit, as I've already predicted him to fail in many other videos. It's not that he's not a good player, he's a great passer of the ball and one of those guys who can inspire a team to victory, but he's not a difference maker. I assume Man United are looking to win the Premier League in the near future, and in order to do so, you first need a plan, some elite stars to lead your team, and then a good set of players that perform well under your football philosophy. Mason Mount isn't in any of those categories, and his fitness issues are definitely a concern. Last season, the English midfielder missed 2 months of action, and this season alone, he's already missed 6 matches. Maybe you'll prove me wrong until the end of the season, but I highly doubt it. Number 2. Kai Havertz. Currently the Gunners' highest earner, Havertz is certainly not living up to the hype. Similarly to Thierry Henry, Havertz is currently having trouble adapting to a new role in Arsenal, however only time will tell if he'll be as successful as a French legend. At this point, Havertz hasn't settled as a number 8 midfielder, and his passing ability isn't on the level of what you expect from an Arsenal starter. In fact, Smith Rowe has performed much better in the same role against Brentford, and many fans are demanding Arteta to play the Englishman over Havertz. For now, he'll continue on the starting 11, but only a single goal through a penalty kick in 10 matches doesn't look good for a German player, and he'll have to up his numbers if he wants to keep playing. Number 1. Moises Caicedo. By far the most ridiculous transfer of the summer, it was a shock to me when Chelsea actually paid 160 million euros for him and signed him to a contract that can run until 2031. Don't get me wrong, for his age, he's a composed defensive midfielder who can defend and pass pretty well, but spending so much on a youngster who was still yet to participate in European competitions or simply compete for a league title is a massive gamble that can easily backfire. His debut was terrible and he ended up playing a big role in Chelsea's loss against West Ham, and only now, almost 2 months after his first match, is he starting to show some promise. But if you think that a good performance against Fulham justifies his huge price tag, you're absolutely out of your mind. For that money, you get a player that wins matches by himself, not a kid that could become something great. And that is it for the video. I know many of you will disagree with some of my takes, so feel free to leave your own ideas in the comments so we can start the discussion. Don't forget to leave a like if you want to watch more content like this, and subscribe so you never miss the most interesting football discussions, stories, and top 10 lists. Thank you for watching until the end, I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.